Hello, I'm Dr. Sarah Speck, and I'd like to welcome you to our first series of healthy cooking videos sponsored by Swedish Heart and Vascular Institute and the John Locke Jr. Trust. I'll be joined by one of Seattle's top chefs working in a kitchen just like one that you would have in your home.
My first job was in a Japanese restaurant and really loved the culture and loved the kind of the lifestyle of a restaurant, and spent a few years there. And while I was going to college, I looked into some culinary schools and I made the jump to culinary. I'm really into supporting my friends and my neighbors. I think the locavore movement is just a fulfillment of the way things should be naturally. It's actually looking back the way probably our grandparents ate. We all grew things ourselves. We took care of it. We preserved things. We bought from our neighbors. We just knew how to do things like that. And I think it's I'm interested in getting to that way of life. And I think it's more fulfilling ultimately to spend some time cooking, even if you're not a professional. It's very satisfying. I think people are really into cooking and being around food in a way that they haven't for a long time. So I just want to see that keep going. Well, so first we're going to just season our pork tenderloin on one side, and then we'll cut up some herbs to go crusted on it.
Now, if I'm choosing a pork tenderloin for my family, what do I want to look for at the butcher?
You want to just look for something that's not too juicy in the package, nice pale pink color. If you can buy it from a local source, I recommend it. This is coming from Carlton Farms down in Central Oregon. Okay. So we're going to pick some fresh thyme, some sage, and parsley. You want to help me pick some herbs?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're just going to chop these up roughly but fairly small, and that way they'll kind of coat the outside of the pork. And then we'll just saute it really gently, kind of over medium heat in the olive oil, and then we'll roast it in the oven for a couple of minutes.
Wonderful.
Just kind of roll that around, make sure it's coated. So it's sizzling, but it's not really smoking too much. So what we'll do is we'll just give this a little color on two sides, and then I'm going to put it in the oven for about 6 to 8 minutes, depending on how much we want it done. Usually I'll go for medium to medium well doneness. So pink, but not all the way well done. It'll stay juicy and tender. Okay, Sarah, let's take the pork out of the oven. I'm sure it's done by now.
Great.
Okay, so you can see that's nice and golden. The herbs are still green. I know the doneness is about right. It's actually shrunk just a little bit, but not too much. So we're gonna put it back on the stove, just up on top, and let it rest for a few minutes.
Okay.
We're gonna start the bean ragu. So just get a little olive oil going in the pan.
And you're really just putting enough to coat it, nothing...
Yep, just enough to sort of lubricate the pan there. We're gonna dice up half an onion.
Okay. And you're just coarsely chopping it?
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll just get that going right away.
And again, this is just over medium heat?
Medium heat, yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to go too fast at this point. Take a couple cloves of garlic.
So if I wanted a quick and dirty way, I could mince it?
You could absolutely use the mincer.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay, let's talk about the mushrooms. So I brought a couple different types of mushrooms today. These are chanterelle mushrooms.
Gorgeous.
Wonderful from the Northwest. If you have friends that are hikers, they probably see these all the time. These are just torn up a little bit, and they've already been washed and kind of brushed of any dirt or sand. You could also, this other type I brought are called hanshimiji. Definitely more restaurant style mushrooms. You could easily use oyster mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, cremini mushrooms, even regular white button mushrooms would be great in this recipe. I think it'd be great to do probably two types though.
Okay.
Put those in. Use a little bit of white wine.
Okay.
This is called deglazing, and this sort of stops the kind of the sautéing process. And it's very common for like a stew or a ragu. So Okay, so make sure everything's coated. Okay, other ingredients we're gonna use next, some chicken broth. These fresh tomatoes, just peeled and chopped. Could easily substitute canned if you liked. I would usually drain off some of the extra juice so they're not too wet when they go in here. White beans.
Yes.
These are cannellini beans. We could also use great northern beans. Lots of different types would be great in this recipe. A little bit of seasoning. Once this cooks down a little bit more, we're going to finish it with a little bit of sherry vinegar, just a few drops, and then some fresh chives.
So you're cutting it on the diagonal.
Yeah, a little bit of a bias cut, going a little bit more than a 1/4 inch thick, probably 1/4 to a 1/2 inch thick.
Okay.
So we'll get a good 10, 12 slices from this.
So really for a family of 3, or depending on how big the eaters are, this might be enough, just one small.
Absolutely. I'll pull one out so you can see it's done. I'd call that medium well. There's still just a little bit of pink in the center,
Right.
but it's still juicy.
It sure does look.
Okay. Do yours first.
Thank you. Oh, the smell is fabulous. This looks like a good portion for dinner.
Yeah, I think this is right.
Okay.
Just a little sprinkle of salt. Usually when I slice any meats, I'll put just a little bit of salt at the end. And just a little dribble of olive oil.
Beautiful. Can we taste it?
Absolutely, after you.
Thank you so much. It's superb.
I think that came out really well.
Wonderful flavors. They're just, and it's so light. It's just great.
Very refreshing, very healthy.
Well, John, I love how you've shown us that a fabulously tasting recipe from an expert chef like yourself can be made in our own kitchens. And it can be healthy, and it's simple to do.